Hello, welcome to the Miles Court trial on Wednesday and daily show from the new federal state of China on Rumble at LFA TV. So thank you for supporting us and by being here and receive the updates from the court. So I'm Ava Chen from new federal state of China, and I'm very pleased to have Max joining me right outside at the courthouse of the Southern District of New York to bring us the latest update from the court. So welcome, Max. Hi, Max.
Hi there,
How are
Ava.
you?
Good, thank you. It's my absolute pleasure to be reporting to you live from the live courthouse, Southern District of New York. I'd like to welcome all the viewers, the fellow friends, family, and fellow fighters who have tuned in to enjoy live updates of the ongoing trial. But yeah, Ava, you were here today. How did you feel about the trial?
I'm feeling great. As I said, today is actually day 15. It is the Wednesday. We know 3 weeks ago the trial started on May 22nd. So this is exactly the third week. So I think we are still on witness 14. And as you know, Max, the witness 14 probably is very, very important for prosecution team because they started on June 10th. Which is the day before yesterday, right? They started direct questioning, and all the way continued. The direct questioning was actually over a full day because it continues on to yesterday, right? And then until yesterday afternoon, we started cross, and then the cross examination continues to today, this morning. And I understand that they had a second round of direct and the second round of cross, which is ended at the end of the day. So gave us a quick overrun of how the day actually went.
Absolutely. And before I dive into that, I just want to give all the viewers a quick rundown of how Mr. Miles is doing. So as expected, he came in bright and early to greet all the fellow fighters and all the supporters that were in the courthouse today. He's looking exuberant as always, a little bit playful today, sporting a dark navy blue suit, a light dress shirt, as well as a dark colored tie. He seemed to be greeting and pointing at people as if he was conversing with them with his eyes. And Ava, I just wanted to bring the viewers' attention to a quote that I heard, and it's, "The kindest person in the room is oftentimes the most intelligent." And that's because cruelty given to people who are different than us, think differently, is an animalistic instinct we as humans have evolved with. And kindness is something that we have evolved from to share our higher level of intellect. And this is because I wanted to point out that Mr. Miles has shown kindness and welcoming to every single person that's been inside the court. So as far as I've been here, I've been welcomed. And he's also shown grace even towards the people that have testified against him, accusing him of terrible things. As you remember, maybe last week, there was even a witness that was making threatening gestures towards him, but he never fainted his smile on his face. So I just wanted to give the viewers a quick understanding of what it feels like to be in the courthouse, because that's not an opportunity many people have.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that out. Yeah, I second to that. What you just said about kindness is very beautiful. And I think the audience get a sense of how Miles basically holding himself throughout this trial, regardless who he is actually facing, right? So yeah, go ahead. Give us the rest of the day.
Absolutely. For sure. So as you said, the witness 14 was a very, very important part of the prosecution's argument against Mr. Miles Guo. As you said, they had begun 2 days prior to today, and the direct questioning took about more than a day, and we just started the first cross-examination at the start of today. And today we were able to bring out the 15th witness. So the redirect and the recross had actually finished by around 2:40 p.m. by the end of today. And before I dive into all of that, I just want to introduce the 15th witness, who I didn't get too much information on. However, I do know she goes by the name Miran Wu, who you'll see in the court documents later tonight. And she was a person living in New Jersey who also was a former follower of Mr. Miles. So I believe we could look forward to another victim witness brought on by the prosecutors to testify against Mr. Miles. But yeah, that was
sorry, Max, just quick one correction. So we actually didn't
Sure.
start the cross-examination this morning. We started yesterday afternoon. And this morning, the
Right,
first round
right.
of cross, continues the end. And the other thing, just a full point of a clarification, you mentioned that the witness number 15 was introduced at what time? My understanding, the full day is pretty much taken by the witness 14. So at what time that was witness 15 introduced?
For sure. So we ended the final cross of witness 14 at around 2:40, I believe. So she was brought on after 2:40. Now I want to bring to your attention, as you said, it had started prior to today, the cross, and it just goes to show how long this witness 14 has taken, and it has even involved the judge's intervention because it has caused significant delays in the proceedings of this trial. The judge was forced by the prosecution to hopefully extend the sittings, the sitting of the court for next week. So next week, the court will go on from Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and they were suggested to sit from 9:30 all the way to 5 p.m. to make up for the time that was lost. Now that's very interesting, Ava, because if you remember last week when they were making the case of their witness and their flights, they had actually adhered to the proper scheduling of those witnesses. If I believe witness 10 through 12, they were the ones that they had timeline concerns about, and they even managed to fit in an extra witness by the end of last week. So it definitely is a little surprising to think that, or to hear that they brought up this issue of time, and they've also brought up the fact that they have to streamline it significantly, cutting out lots of important details, in their words, in order to meet the timeline deadlines for the trial.
Yeah, my understanding is this week's trial is also extended by, I think, 15 minutes, right? Today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. And what the time that you proposed for the full day is not finalized, correct? Has not been finalized.
That's correct. And perhaps we will be able to hear back from the panel members if they were able to catch that, if there was a final confirmation. And if there will be, then we'll see what the proposed timeline will be for the next few days. But there was also a lot of interesting components to the whole trial that happened even before the court had begun today, and it involved a lot of debate over which evidence the defense were able to permit as objected by the government. I believe a lot of those were very, very crucial to the whole understanding and the whole nuance behind a lot of the testimony from witness number 14. So I believe it's something that you could possibly dive into later on with the panel members, and I believe it paints a full picture of what is outlined in his testimony.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we will leave it to Feather and Jackson. Yes.
For sure.
Is there any highlight of the cross-examination that came out to you that it's memorable?
Absolutely. So I believe the objective of the prosecution, as you've seen in the past couple of days, was to use Mr. Khalid as a source to talk about all the financial misdoings that he was involved with when he was employed by Soraka as well as Crane. And interestingly, as you know, a lot of people had gone into the fact that he had also incriminated himself by testifying on direct yesterday. The fact that, you know, multiple white-collar crimes that he committed throughout the period of 2009 through 2016, way before that he even had involvement with Yvette Wan or Mr. Guo. So he had also admitted to the theft of wages, as in the breach of contract with his employment at Citibank by under the covers being employed by two separate entities at the exact same time for 2 months. So this had also essentially, I guess their objective, from my understanding, was to paint a picture of mishandling with a lot of the operations. But when we started across yesterday and today, I believe it has been a very similar case to Mrs. Moulin from last week, if you recall, to build a case against the validity of his testimony. And as you know, there were lots of highlights from today where he was seen contradicting his own testimony with either pieces from the evidence or his own testimony from before. So that was very interesting to see.
Because you mentioned about why the prosecutor team spend so much time on him is because they want to build a story about financial, lay the foundation for the fraud, right? For the fraud cases. And he seems is handling, according to his testimony yesterday, handling a lot of banking stuff for the related entities. So today, throughout the cross, or maybe the second round of the direct, is there something has been emphasized? Is there something came up again that was actually already talked about yesterday? Is there any revisit today?
Yeah, for sure. And before I dive into the redirect and the recross, I just want to point out that I believe sitting through the first initial cross, it became clear to us that the objective was to detach his entity from the entities or the handlings of Mr. Guo and the G series as a separate dysfunctional entity that was acting against the will and the orders of said defendant. And it was because we had also discovered that his company directly benefited and from the transferring of money because of a 2% fee. And this 2% fee is very, very important because it also came into light and it was implied that he had transferred this 2% fee, and I say in quotation marks because it was a inaccurate calculation of the total proceedings that he had earned to his personal accounts, in which he also bought 7 Airbnb properties, which 3 of them he wanted to use for Airbnb. And so it seemed that he had a lot of personal gain, and it was very hard for him to come to terms with his own misdoings, because as seen in the cross-examination, he was very, very avoidant with many of the questions that directly implicated him. It was also seen that it was also implied that he was guilty of extortion because he was holding on to such funds from G clubs per se, and holding it on because he wanted the 2% fee. So maybe you can talk more about that.
For sure. Yeah, we're definitely going to give the audience a little bit of background information, because it's confusing, because a lot of people don't know that he was also hired by Saraka Media with an annual salary of $350,000, with an understanding of his title is VP Banking Relation and Strategy, which all he did at that time was required to do is to basically open bank accounts for a lot of related entities that we call G series, because we were under attack of the CCP, and every step of the way the CCP has, using their proxies or their spies to sabotage all those transfer of the funds, and they're looking at seizing all those investors' funds, which many of who are actually were still living in communist China at that time. So with that understanding, because I understand yesterday, at the end of the yesterday trial, that the judge reminded this witness that he, needs to talk to his legal counsel regarding incriminating himself, because I understood from yesterday that the non-persecution agreement that he entered into with the prosecutor team does not cover for all the wrongdoings that he conducted, particularly not covered under the state law. So in today's testimony, did you see he pleaded Fifth Amendment to some of the questions, or did some of this discussion from yesterday impacted him in terms of his answer?
Yeah, for sure. So you can see that he was very, very avoidant with a lot of the questioning from today. Like you said yesterday, he was advised to seek legal counsel due to the implication of his crimes within this trial. And one thing that was brought up in repetition was, in fact, his non-prosecution agreement that outlined with the government, the FBI, of all the charges that he was covered by. And this was a main focus for many of the discussion, whether it be the cross or the redirect from today. One other thing that came up was the recording that they played yesterday that you may be able to get more in depth into. But in general, I would say, just like the witness from last week, witness number 12, if I remember correctly, Mulan, a lot of his avoidant answers have led, to my opinion, the jurors to question his answers, his testimony on a shaky basis. And they seem to be believing the implications of the question more than the answer itself, because a lot of the answers were, like you said, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't recall. So it's very interesting to see that these answers would come from someone so meticulous and so capable, especially in the line of work that he does.
Last question before I let you go, because Feather and Kevin already here. So I wanted to know because I know the the galleries are basically pretty much occupied by the followers of the movement. So how was their reaction doing throughout yesterday and today, especially for Witness 14?
Absolutely. I think most people in the crowd were listening very, very intently, and I would say perturbed or intrigued by the answers, because a lot of the followers had known about his misdoings, especially in Crane, from watching Mr. Mausgo's testimony, or not his testimony, but his words from before. And most of this had, in his broadcast, a lot of these doings had actually been laid out in a chronological timeline, and a lot of people had prior understanding to who this person was and what he had done in his involvement with the investor funds and G-Series and Crane as an entity as a whole. So thank you again, Ava, and I very much look forward to the panel today.
Thank you very much, Matt. So I talk to you next time. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you.
Okay, so panelists, I wanted just to bring up our social media account on X and Getter, just to let everyone know, if you want to follow this case, it will be very easy for you to receive updates, daily updates, by following NFSC Speak on X. This is showing a NFSC Speaks account. And also you can go to, scroll down a little bit. These are the updates that we send out throughout the trial every day. And also, if you want to get to the transcript, because that's where the details resides. So you can get all those transcripts on our website, which is nfscofficial.com. So that's it. That's the information. So now we're welcoming our two panelists back into the live broadcasting room. So hello, hi Feather, hi Kevin, welcome back.
Hi Eva. Hi friends of LFA TV and then the NFSC fellow fighters and everyone's watching this live stream. I am Feather. I'm just back from the court.
Kevin.
Hi Eva and hi everyone. Just like Feather, happy to be here today and just came back from court as well.
Okay, so my understanding there's lots of great things happening in the courtroom in terms of helping the jury to reach the final non-guilty verdict. But tell us a little bit what's going on in detail. How did because this is the second day that Sabrina started the cross, right? So how did this cross compare with what she had yesterday?
Well, a lot of compared with yesterday, because of the very long, lengthy, direct examination, Sabrina was trying to, get back at every argument that the prosecutor made. So, oh my God, I can't remember exactly.
How did she start today?
She started by, mentioning the affidavit that's submitted as the PACS litigation. Do you wanna start off talking about that?
Sure. For a brief overview, she started off with the cross-examination of the 14th witness, Haitham Khalid, and he used to work at Citi as a bank relationship manager, and then he went to work for Soraka and GTV back in 2020. And so she started off with an affidavit signed and submitted by the witness. And it was regarding the PACS litigation. Which is
a litigation that goes back to a few years ago, right? Started in 2017. And PACS, we were saying that the chairman of the PACS is Shan Weijian, who the NFSC has been calling him a CCP spy based on the intel, right?
Yeah.
So, and he brought this lawsuits in South District of New York against the Miles School in 2017.
Yeah.
Continue.
And so, and it's more this was a notarized affidavit, notarized by the notary, so it's official court official document. And the witness basically swore on oath that the city bank account has nothing to do with Miles or his enterprises. So no financial
which
interests.
Time? What the time?
Yes, the affidavit date is May 17, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So that's doing when he still basically holding the employment with Soraka. Okay, so he made an affidavit that actually helping Miles School in the PAX case, correct? Okay.
Yeah, and so he kept saying, Sabrina was asking questions about it, and he kept saying Miles had no connection on paper. He mentioned the word on paper many, many times throughout today, and he basically explained it as the 1,300 wires in the city bank account had no mention of Miles' name on it. None of the wires, none of the transfers, nothing.
Right.
Okay, so but he specifically mentioned the paper.
Yeah.
So what do you think he wants to establish here?
There's an implementation that he's trying to implement that
Okay.
he actually has some say in it and some sort of control that's not on paper.
Mm-hmm. So basically, he's wanted to pointing, all the responsibilities back to Miles.
Miles.
And
Yes.
that one, okay,
And
gotcha.
yes, and a lot of times we're trying to to clear the funds, the 2% fee he received.
Yeah.
To when he had this agreement, when he cleared some funds with the Crane account, he received the 2% fee out of the money he cleared.
Okay, so just for a point of a clarification for the audiences, so this person, this witness 14, was an employee of Soraka Media and GTV, and he received a salary, but on the side, he also had created a company that he is the only ultimate beneficiary owner and the director, right?
Yes.
And that company is called Crane. So this is what you're talking about.
Yes.
He entered into a payment facilitation agreement with GTV.
Right.
Crane company entered.
Right.
Okay.
And he is the only one that can receive money, send money, and close the account or open the account. So he has the right to do anything with this company and bank account. And there's no one else's right to do that except for him. I want to clear that up.
Yeah.
So with the 2% fee, well, the thing is, at the end of the day, there's $2.7 million. This is the $2.5 million that he took at the time. But then because this has raised my question yesterday.
He took from where?
He took
$2.7
from
million.
the basically from the fee from the fund that he cleared from the Crane account.
Okay.
Right. So yesterday he said he cleared $97 million. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering when I went home and I was discussing it. I'm like, 2% of 2% of $97 million is not 2.7 million.
Yeah, that's
Like,
right.
what happened? Did he take more, or did he miscalculate it, or did he clear more fund that we didn't know? But then the truth is that he did clear, the
Eventually,
total
I
of
think.
797. But then he took the $2.7 million instead of the 2% of the 97.
But question is, was he entitled to this 2.7 million? Was he actually taken it lawfully at the time?
Well, he testified that he believed, he was entitled to the funds. But then, there's the obvious question that Sabrina raised, like, why did he agree to forfeit the 2.7 million if
That's
it
right.
was legal, if he got
Correct.
it lawfully, right?
That's right.
And so, that's like, it was a big back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Sabrina was trying to, get an answer out of him. And so, he also testified that he transferred the money back, like 1 or 2 million, which really didn't make sense. You transferred into Crane and then transferred back from the personal account, from Crane to the personal account, then transferred back to Crane, which doesn't really make sense if you think about it.
That's right.
So because Crane is owned by him, and he just transferred back from him to him, right?
To him, the Crane
person.
company account, which entered and has a responsibility of providing a kind of a throughput service we call escrow agent services on behalf of the G Club. So a little bit background information for the audiences. If you missed yesterday's trial, we were talking about, so as you recall, the G Clubs, because anything that associated with Miles School is going to be flagged Okay, because of the mainstream media report on Mao School, because of the Chinese Communist Party put a red notice on him and calling him a fugitive. So anything, any move, any entities that associated with Mao School, all his family office Golden Spring are automatically have a difficulty to get bank account open or get money transferred. This is why he was hired, the Witness 14 was hired. Right? And basically he pitched himself. He approached the Golden Spring, the family office, of course, say, hey, you need a person like me because I can help you this and that, right? So, and he got hired, and he hired, the purpose for him is to helping open accounts and move money. So in this case, G Clubs is one of the entities that all the followers, investors are investing in, right? They purchasing the membership fees and millions, $100 million coming from all over the world, particularly from mainland China. And because of the difficulty of moving funds, so he established a crane company, okay, and served as the remitter, served as the middleman, okay? So the money he agreed to receive on behalf of the G Clubs, and then he will move the money to wherever the investors want the money to go, okay? And that's the background job, right? Okay, so when you mention about he moved the money from the crane account to his bank account, right? So personal bank account. So my question to you is, was that legal? Was that when was that happened?
He's entitled to move the 2% of the fee that he cleared. So 2% of 97 is not $2.7 million.
Okay, so
this is simple math. So apparently the $2.7 million is not he's not entitled to because he did not clear the amount that's corresponded to the 2%, right?
Yeah.
So then he agreed to forfeit this $2.7 million to the government. So this question was raised. If he keeps saying that this is lawfully learned, that he's entitled to this $2.7 million, why he agreed to forfeit this to the government? If he didn't steal anything, why he agreed, why agreed to give it back to the government? Right? Why is that, right? But this is a contradiction in his testimony.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and I think there's some details into it because I think there's a conversation mentioned, during the cross, especially to ask him, when did you move your money from the crane to your personal bank account? Are you entitled to? At that time, he wasn't. That is why he knew. That's why he also testified. He said he moved the money back. Remember? He moved the money back in April 2021.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
I think that's that because the payment facilitation agreement did not sign until May 12th, 2021. That means prior to even agree to actually charging the 2% fees, he actually stole the money. He actually moved from Crane, the company account, okay, and to his personal account, the amount of money that he is not entitled to, right? So keep going.
So I remember yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? I remember the rest of the money that he didn't take from Crane account went to the law firm Aaron Mitchell because there's nowhere else to go. Is that correct? So he testified that he moved back the money from his personal bank account, some money back. We don't know how much, okay?
Right.
Some money, but there's no statement, there's no banking statement, there's no transfer, any kind of sort of record that he presented to the government. Assumingly would be very strong evidence showing him that he did not steal and he earned this lawfully, and there's part of it he actually sent back, but none of that was shown in the court.
That's right.
And then he was like saying he bought 7 properties from the 2% fee, but we don't know if it's limited to $2.7 million. But there's no document showing he transferred back the money from his personal bank account to Crane account. And there's no evidence or document showing that he said there could be a document, but there's no actual evidence. And then from the 19 times he met with Miss Juliana, prosecutor, 19 times, there was no such documents presented to the government.
Yeah, and as you recall, there's no conversation even. He didn't even divulge the information that the little middle step that he moved money from the Crane company to his personal and then moved it back. He didn't tell anybody, right? Okay,
Can we move on to the KYC? I think that's a really important part. So as we know, the KYC is a know your customer. Because I'm not an expert, I'm just gonna explain to the audience what I know about KYC. So it can be done. Basically, I think it was kind of like a research to the customer, to the client. It's usually done by the bank receiving the money. So everyone, each individual or each company can get a KYC, and then from the bank does the KYC. Then the bank can receive money from you. Crane could not receive any money if the KYC is not done, right?
That's right.
And also, the banking institution
cannot be cleared.
Cannot be clear. Yes, the banking institution does the KYC. It's not the witness that do the KYC, or not Crane does the KYC.
That's right.
And he's only an escrow agent, according to him. That he gets instruction to move money, to move funds, to clear funds from the bank account. So there were two options that's given to him. So is there background knowledge you want to give to the audience?
Sure. I want the audience to understand when we talk about the commission, it's really, because yesterday, when the day ends, we had an impression of this person basically committed a theft of wage because he, doing two jobs, 8-hour jobs concurrently. Okay, and that actually had a little bit continuing on in terms of the cross, but we know, he might committed a theft of wages, which is under state law, right? The non-prosecution team does not, the agreement does not cover that, does not provide the coverage for that. But today, what came through is extortion. Okay, so what came through, come clear from the cross is, at the time that they about to enter, and negotiation goes on, there's letters from his lawyer to G Club negotiating this payment facilitation agreement. He actually hold on to $56 million that belong to the G Club's members, okay, which he's supposed to move along to where the investors wants to go. But he is using the excuses, what you just said. I need to know my clients, okay? I need to do this due diligence check before I can release. So this came across, the logic comes. Everybody, as a banker, you should know, as a seasoned.
For almost 10 years.
Yeah, more than 10 years actually.
Yes.
Prior to that for 2 years. So you should know that the KYC was only done for the receiving bank, right? When you receive money, never when you actually sending out money. Right? So this KYC has nothing to do with you. So don't think that we don't know what you're talking about, right? So this came across really close, really clear for us that he basically hold this $56 million as a hostage and using that, negotiating, asking his lawyer to say, hey, let's enter a 2 million% fees so I can move the $2.7 million to my own personal account so I can invest it in Florida, acquiring 7 properties and doing business on Airbnb under name of my wife. Why I'm going through a bankruptcy proceeding, lying to my trustee that I don't own this because it belongs to my wife. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna get to that. It's the most exciting part.
Yeah.
Well, the first option he had, right, with all the money he has, there's one option that is to send back to the original sender, which is the investors, the people who send money to the Crane account to invest in G Clubs, right? He said he returned a few out of, I don't know, 1,300?
Yeah, he didn't specify.
There's a lot of wires, but then he claims that he returned a few. And then the other option is to close down the Korean bank account. This is the simplest way to stop receiving any money. And, as many people told him, for example, Yvette Wang, William G., Mileson, who else? Miles, Victor Serta, etc. And he did not do so. And then he was shown to evidence that April 30, 2021, Yvette Wang sent him a text message telling him to let go of the bank account, stop receiving funds, right?
Yeah.
So let me just see here. More than one call, phone calls or video calls, Yvette Wang tells him to close the account.
Repeatedly.
Repeatedly. So because only the witness can close the account.
That's correct.
He can only him can open an account, receive money, or transfer money, or close the account, right? And he never moved the money. He said he never moved money, and then he didn't close the account, and then he will receive. and
His
receiving
excuse was saying there's some balance in the account, right?
Right. Because there's a large balance in the Korean account. You know, because the larger the balance is, the larger the 2% fee is.
That's correct.
This is the why he doesn't want to close the account. He wants to keep receiving money from the sender, from the investors.
That's correct.
And you know, Sabrina, the defense counsel, she played like, she said 4 options, right?
Yeah.
One was you mentioned return the money back to the senders. One was closing the account. Then there's also one where you can transfer the money to Hamilton.
That's correct. That's Will and Jay's investment fund, right? Management fund.
Yeah. And so the witness kept saying that, you know, throughout his entire testimony, you know, he was pressured into doing things. That's so Sabrina, you know, pointed out the fact that, look, Milson, Yvette, and William both pressured you, right? Like, quote unquote, pressured you to do things like such as you know, move the money.
And he answered correct.
Yeah.
He said yes.
He never moved the money.
That's right.
So right, so it sort of contradicts his previous testimony.
That's correct. It just shows you that he doesn't want to, regardless what he was saying previously. That I want to help you. You know, I understand. He didn't. He want to hold on to the money because the more money he holds on, and the bigger the fee is, and possibly he even want the money, right? Because we know through the Mao School's previous 2021 live broadcast, at that time he wasn't very clear on in terms of who is doing it, but he shared the gestic of this person aiming to basically take over the $56 million of the investors' money, right?
Right. So at that time, you know, Miles knows that he's not trustworthy anymore.
Yeah.
He knows that this witness has some sort of personal intention into keeping money for himself. It was given 3 options outside of the 2 options that Yvette Wang offered.
That's right.
It's because you know he got sued by G Club, and then he didn't because he didn't transfer the $76 million. First one transferred to Hamilton. Second of all, transferred to Himalaya. Exchange.
Yeah.
Third of all, to a middle person that is
Himalaya Alliance Committee, right? That was proposed as well, which is the Himalaya Committee that they're going to do this because a lot of the refund is very dangerous for the individual investors. So that is why Miles actually in the recording yesterday, right? He secretly recorded without consent of everyone, and through one of the videos we understood that because return the fund to some of the original sender could put their life in jeopardy. That is why that the idea is return to Alliance Committee, who is on behalf holding this on this investors, right?
And I remember in a lot of recordings he claims himself to be an escort agent who has an escort agreement. So do you want to explain what escort agent is? So
basically that's a question that asked by the cross defense counsel. So basically he said, you testified yesterday being an escrow agent. Were you registered as an escort agent in United States? And then he said, I'm the registered. I later registered as money service business. Okay?
Money service transmitter. Yes.
And then another question, a follow-up question from the defense is do you believe that the escrow agent is the same as the money transmitter? And then his answer, obviously these are 2 different things, 2 different concepts, but his answer is, I relied on my lawyer. I hope it's not the same lawyer because we got through that yesterday. Go ahead.
He mentioned that he had a money services business. And Sabrina just asked him a bunch of questions about that, and you know, he clearly said he does not have an escrow license because
that's right.
You know, because he just did not apply for it, right? He does not have that license. He said later he had it. He said later he had it, but he's trying to be very ambiguous
in terms of when he had it and what is the license, whether he was registered as an escrow agent or not.
And then they were showing email of the notice of a termination of the payment facilitation agreement.
Yes.
And in June 30, 2021, basically this is the termination to show that the G Club doesn't want to do business with Crane anymore.
So G Club's lawyer sent a notice of termination of Crane contract, serving as this middleman, right? Okay.
And then sent it to his attorneys. This witness attorneys. So contracted to be.
The witness tried to frame it as, you know, he wanted to cancel the agreement, right?
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, and then
that was really good.
And then you know, then Sabrina, you know, showed proof that it was actually G clubs who wanted to terminated.
He
And
lied.
then he lied. Yeah.
He lied in
said,
front of everyone,
Yeah.
right? He said no, because there's a number of questions to ask him.
Yeah.
What the truth is. One is, do you want the contract with Crane to be terminated?
And he says
And
yes.
he said yes.
Yes.
Right? And there's another time ask, do you have interest in terminating of this this contract? Right?
Yeah.
He said no. Right? I don't want this contract. I want this contract to be terminated.
Yeah.
But then that's also a point of contention this morning, right?
Yeah.
Remember, before the trial starts, the both parties, the counsels are debating whether the defense can submit it in evidence.
Right.
That's exactly the letter. The letter is dated on July 11th, 2021. It's a response from this guy, this witness 14th lawyer,
Yeah.
to the notice that's sent by G Club regarding the notice of termination of Crane's service, right?
Yeah.
So what the response?
It's to ask to withdraw this termination of the payment facilitation agreement.
No,
So
the response is not to.
it's not to.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
yes.
not to. Yeah.
So basically, it means like the lawyers ask him, so let's withdraw this termination.
Yeah.
We want to keep working with you.
Yeah, we want to keep working with you, and they also proposed a lot of ways to working to keep, in order to keep the relationship. They really, went a certain length, right?
Yeah.
What did they say? Did you guys record it? The offers in terms of to the G Club in terms of keeping that relationship with G Club.
Let me see.
I didn't exactly have the offers.
Okay.
But basically, I mean, G Clubs didn't want to work with the witness anymore, right?
Yeah,
The
G Club
witness-
say
yeah.
we're done. Okay,
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah.
Regardless what you offer, we're not interested in. One of the offer I did record
Yes.
it.
Is
You
it
get
is
it?
it an offer to return the money to G Club
Without KYC.
without KYC
Yes.
from Crane?
Yeah.
So now, because the G Club say, hey, I'm gonna sever the relationship, I'm not
Yeah.
satisfied with you, right?
Yeah.
Then they say, hey, don't. I'm okay now letting people letting the money go without KYC,
Uh-huh.
which definitely proved that what he said earlier to G Club was a bluff.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
He just wanted to, keep the bigger balance and then
Yeah.
get more commission.
He's
right?
like, we can't send without KYC. Now he's
That's
like,
right.
we
Yeah.
want to send without KYC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they also offered, through his lawyer, say that we are now, we're willing to return some of the money to the original senders.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another. But
Right.
regardless what they said, the G Club said, I had enough with you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not trustworthy. We're going to sever the
Yeah.
relationship. So what went on?
And I mean, he was panicking, right? Because
Yeah.
he's gonna lose the 56 million.
That's
he's gonna
right.
lose the 2% fee, right?
That's correct.
And that's the entire reason why he even created Crane, right?
That's
With
right.
2% fee.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
leads to the arbitration,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's what leads to the arbitration.
Yes,
So
to
go
pay
ahead.
back the $57 million.
56 million. Yeah.
$56 million that he held in Crane's bank account. So the reason is because G Club doesn't want to work with you again, right?
Yeah.
And then it seems to him that the witness only attended to the first one, and then the second one he went in person.
Okay.
Yes. But
So-
he claims he's not interested in the $56 million.
Yeah, he's still, regardless, like this witness is not trustworthy. I think he has shown through yesterday's cross-examination and today's that he is a habitual liar. Okay, he has lots of ulterior motives, and he just lied. So even after the notice of termination, he's not returning the money. So this issue had to set in court. So that is why G Club sued him and threw in an arbitration, right? That's
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Through the first arbitration proceeding, the three arbitrators told Crane, which this witness, to return the money,
Yeah.
and he had to.
Yeah.
Right, he had to return, which is, thank God, the $56 million of the investors are secured. Right, so that's the money. Throughout yesterday, the information that he transferred to Aaron Mitchell, which is the lawyer on behalf of the G Club, right? So there is a second arbitration actually taking back the 2.7 million, right? Remember?
Yes.
And then and then doing the cross, our lawyer asked him a question. I don't know whether you remember. Have you provided the same recording to the arbitrator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? Why that's important?
The same recording he presented in court.
Yeah,
this
because we
time.
heard a lot of
Yeah.
recordings, right? He
Yeah.
secretly recorded without everybody's aware. Like his phone call with Mileson, his phone call with Yvette Wan and Miles School and all those meetings. And he also mentioned our cross counsel asked did you actually give the same recording to the arbitrator, especially in the second arbitration, right? Because the second arbitration, the result is the G Club did not get the 2.7 million because that case against witness 14 was dismissed, right? But through the cross, when he answered, he at least provide one audio record to the arbitrator.
Yes.
And the arbitrator still basically say, confirm, there's no money laundering, there's nothing, nothing to see, but this case is dismissed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we get to the point why this is important, because I think it's connected with the end of the day. End of the day, because I exited for the cross, for the second round of cross, because there's something coming up regarding the video audio recording, right? And it tied together, and it shows you this person, because one of the argument he made, if you recall, Kevin and Feather, is he said, I randomly record this meeting. There's no particular purpose for which meeting I chose to record. And I think that was a lie. Right? And Cross did a very good job to show that was a lie. Do you guys want to say anything about this?
Let me go back to the notes.
I mean, so Sabrina, defense counsel, she showed an audio clip of where there was Anna, which I believe is
the lawyer from the G Club in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
She was talking, and then the clip just cuts off, right?
That's
so
right.
Clearly, Sabrina also was very clear that he's the one that chooses to record, when to start, when to stop recording, and it saves on his computer, right?
That's right.
So he made the decision to cut it off. So clearly it shows that it's not a random selected recording like he said.
That's correct. That's a very good point, because he said usually that's the end of the meeting that he finished the record, but the one that we listened, it was somebody just talking in the middle of the sentence, hasn't finished yet, and that proved he was lied. And the other point is, at the end of the day, when I exiting the courtroom, they were discussing. I remember that the Sabrina was asking question about, okay, so these recordings are all these conversations that in the meeting that you were part of are in Chinese, right? And you don't understand any Chinese, right? And he said, yeah, I don't understand. So did you do anything afterwards? Did you find out what they discussed? What they discussed? Did you provide this copy to arbitrator? Okay, so because when was the arbitrator? The arbitrator was actually happening in 2021. Okay, so that means he must knew if he provided. I wasn't, because I left it. Was Sabrina confirmed?
Right. Well, he said
that
about
was the same
his lawyer.
Recording?
He said my lawyer. Well, again, he's my lawyer did X, Y, Z, and then Sabrina was asking, does your lawyer know any Chinese? And he said, I don't know.
Okay.
He said he doesn't know if his lawyer knows any Chinese. He definitely discussed with Alex about this phone call. But
not Alex doesn't know Chinese, right?
No, no.
Sabrina asked, did Alex understand Chinese? He said, no, Alex doesn't understand. So the question is, he tried to leave an impression that he does not know what was the recording was saying, because they're in Chinese. But Sabrina trying to ask the question and establish that this guy lies again. Because he knew, because he provided the recording to the second arbitrator, which happened in 2021. Okay, he already knew what's going on.
Right. Because the first time he met with the prosecutor was in the middle of 2022, so he kept this specific recording for over a year
without looking into, because he said without looking into what the recording was saying, did not do any follow-up conversation with Yvette Wan, did not talk to anybody. That's just strange, right? You secretly recorded something, then you just suddenly not interested to know what's going on, what's the discussion
and then you provide to the government
exactly in 2022
as an evidence.
So anything else, because we still have 5 more minutes in terms of the highlights at the second half of the class.
So about the money, about the house he purchased. It's very, very interesting, because he said he bought the house in around 2021, 2022. So, and he only got fired middle of 2021. So he was
July 2020. I think it's June or July.
June 30. He got a termination notice.
Okay.
Right. So before he got a dispute, right? He still put these houses in his wife's name. His excuse, his reasons were because something might happen to me.
physically harm, physically or physical harm.
And I wanted to put this to the property in the name of someone I trust, and then I can protect them financially.
That's
financially.
Right. Yes.
But then he did not put his name. Later on, Sabrina was asking, our defense lawyer asked him, if trustee finds out that the property is in your name, they will be seized, right?
Yes.
Because you have a personal bankruptcy going on.
That's right. That's correct. That's connected for the audience. So yesterday's cross came across that he had a financial difficulties, and he admitted to. Yeah. And in 2018, he filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, right? And although there's the trustee proposed multiple times to terminate the filing because he missed payments to the parties that he owed money to, right?
Yes.
That's the reason why the trustee dismissed so many times, and he still owes people money that he hasn't paid yet.
You know, because you have to give a list of your assets when you file a personal bankruptcy.
Yeah. So basically, he's trying to concede, right? He's trying to hide all those $2.7 million and the property that he purchased using that money away from trustee. That is why the question crossed very clear, and he confirmed he didn't share it with the prosecutor team, he didn't share it with the trustee. So that's the purpose. So it's not what he said. He's afraid of personal physical harm after the dispute with the G clubs, that he's insinuating that Miles Guo and this G-series entities would do something to him, right? He's insinuating that, but the evidence cannot be more clear that he is actually trying to hide from the trustee from his bankruptcy proceedings.
Yeah, and also the defense counsel pulled up this non-prosecution agreement to the witness and to the jurors. Listed 8 crimes covered. 8 crimes covered by federal government.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the charge that he potentially would have.
There was 2 home loan. He inflated his expenses.
Yeah.
And then there was
to get more loans from the banking information.
Yes.
Then there was one for unlicensed money services business, which begs the question. He said he was licensed, so why did he need coverage for that?
Yeah,
and his response was because in case his lawyer made a mistake. And then everyone's asking, like, where are you getting these lawyers from? Right? I hope it's not the same lawyer as before, right? And
that's
so
correct.
It seems that everything that he's said so far, is to cover for mistakes made by his lawyer. So he's trying to push all the blame onto his lawyer instead of himself.
It's a very logical question to ask. Why would the government cover you? This is considered as crimes that you committed in the past. Why would they cover that you've done and you said it was completely legal, and you practice illegal? Yeah, and then in case my lawyer made a mistake, of course it's my lawyer's mistake. With the writing the checks without knowing without sufficient fund, like 6 to 7 checks. That's one of the crimes he committed in the past too.
Yeah.
Right. And that was basically the highlights.
Okay. I understand from Max that basically both parties, both the defense and prosecutor team, finished the questioning of the witness 14, and they introduced witness 15.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So give us a little bit. We still have a few minutes. Who is witness 15?
So it started around 2:35.
Yes.
So there's only about 20 minutes left of the trial. So brief background: the witness 15 is called Minran Wu. She's a female, and she lives in New Jersey, and she used to follow Miles before.
Okay.
And she was born in China, and she came to U.S. in 2001, and she first got introduced to him through watching his YouTube videos.
Yes.
Gotcha.
2018.
So they're just starting direct questioning. They haven't get to the gist of it.
Yes.
So we will probably.
Time we left. Yes.
Yeah, we're likely to see more questions cross from direct for the witness 15, and sounds like she is also a victim. So far, we had already 4 self-claimed victims of this G series. But I think one of the highlights I remember that Sabrina, when he crossed the last witness, not the last. I think a witness number 12, Mulan Yali, Miss Yali. I think, not number 12, number 10.
Never
and
change, yes.
yeah, and she was a member of the Alliance Committee, right?
Yep.
So one of the group leaders and also farm leaders for the G Translator. And when she testified, she always say, we were deceived, we were lied to. And Sabrina had a very good questioning and confirming, like, you can only speak to yourself, right? And you cannot speak to them on behalf of them. And when Sabrina mentioned about them, and she actually turned back and looked at us, right? And all because we're sitting and there's a lot more followers sitting at the bench and the galleries and nodding heads, yes, she doesn't represent me, and we know this. So for this Witness 15, are you prepared to receive some of the information that you probably not privy to in the past?
For sure. We were talking about this on the way back and saying, oh, this might probably be the same kind of testimony that we were kind of expecting. And then we also wanted to know how far she followed the movement, and how far back she stopped following it. Also, this is all something to say about her intention to follow this movement at the first place. And of course they also talk about a little bit background of hers, her parents, and some personal informations to show that he actually have some sort of motives to go against the CCP. But then that doesn't say anything about that which afterwards what she would do, what she thinks about Miles, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna look forward.
Yeah.
We really look forward into her testimony tomorrow.
For sure. Yeah.
And really exciting.
Yeah, they all have different motivations. There are different stories. But one thing throughout this whole trial, that all those so-called witnesses, so-called victims of the movement, are actually all victims of the CCP, right?
Yeah.
Every single one. So we've listened so far that their families, their grandparents are actually suffering the slaughtering of their ancestors or plundering of their wealth, right? Subject them to persecutions from the communist China. So that's the pattern. And throughout this trial, a lot of those things regarding the CCP's infiltration and CCP's persecution of dissidents in a different country, especially the United States, came across, right? So that's why we're looking forward to see the Witness 15, and I understand from this morning's discussion they might have more witnesses introduced. Is that correct?
Yes, and then there's a potential delay into the trial. So we were kind of wrong about the pace.
Okay, did they say anything
next
about...
Next week, there might gonna be an extension of the trial for each day. And
so they didn't confirm at the end?
Didn't confirm at the end, because I wasn't there. So at the end, and when the jurors have a decision on it. But then there's a change of schedule, but then we're gonna confirm that schedule probably later today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we're almost, the time is almost up. So any last word for today's trial?
Right, I just want to say about the schedule again. So, the last day of the trial is supposed to be end at July 12th, but then the judge still wants to keep that as the last day of the trial. So, they don't extend it further to delay anything more. So they wanted to add more times next week to finish a lot of the prosecutors, the witness. Yes.
So we might likely have an answer from the jury members, right?
Yes.
And say confirming that extension or not. So we will bring you back the updates tomorrow, the same time on Rumble at LFA TV at Miles Trial. So thank you for watching. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.